Hey all, here OS Reviews. You're watching our hands-on review of a e-ink based thermometer. It retails for $20 and it's actually a subsidiary of Xiaomi. So this is something that has a very Mi-like packaging and presentation if you've seen their other home products in the past. So I've always been curious as far as why e-ink hasn't been more widely used. It saves on battery, it has a really sharp contrast. That means you can also read it very clearly when there's broad light, if you bring it outside. So there's a lot of benefits to it, and I think it just gives a very cool overall aesthetic. Unfortunately, it seems like it hasn't really caught on beyond what we see as common e-readers, but this is an exception, so I wanted to pick it up just for the display technology alone. It's not necessarily really super intelligent in terms of having Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. I'm pretty sure it doesn't connect to an app or anything like that. It's more of a standalone, small product that you would want to place on a desk or take with you when you are traveling. So here is the packaging. We have a very interesting little dock that you can use to pop this onto a desk so it can stand up. You also get a magnet and a piece of tape if you want to attach the thermometer unit onto, let's say, a fridge, onto a door, or somewhere else permanently. Setting this off to the side, we have just the thermometer along with a quick user guide that's documented, unfortunately, fully in Chinese. Now, it does have a partially symbolic user interface. There's a face that will make a sad or a happy face depending on the humidity levels in the room, which is a pretty cool feature, but it does use a standard cell-based battery, CR2032, as opposed to rechargeable, which would have been pretty nice. So here we have the unit itself. We have a polycarbonate frame, so it is made out of plastic, but the overall color scheme and detailing is very Xiaomi, and you can remove the back cover if you want to have access to the battery compartment. We're going to pull this off, and you can see everything has refreshed, and the ink has now turned on. So this is very interesting. You can see how easy it is to read, even under extreme angles. As we're shifting the display, it looks like it's just printed on there like paper. Removing the back cover, this is what it looks like, the cell-based battery, which is replaceable, and there's a small hole that says you can change the display from degrees Celsius to degrees Fahrenheit. I do wish this button was on the outside instead of having to pry off this cover just to access that. Putting it on the top along with some other controls would have probably been easier for a consumer to access, but nonetheless, it's functional, and you can see it still remains on when the back cover is removed. And here's what it looks like when docked onto the little plastic stand, and you can see that the temperature as well as the humidity will refresh itself after about 30 seconds to a minute if there's any changes detected. And then next to a 5-inch phone, this is a Xiaomi Redmi 4X. You can get a better idea of what the dimensions are like. Now, even though it doesn't have a touchscreen, it is using slightly 2.5D curved glass on the edges, which makes it look a little bit sleeker, but again, nothing actually happens if you do interact with the display. But there's a very subtle curve, and we've attached the magnetic clip so that it will stay onto any metal surface, such as a lamp, a refrigerator, or on a car without any problems. The magnet is strong enough so it supports the weight, it seems, without too many issues, and you can of course use it in a lot more creative ways, hanging it onto everyday objects. When it comes to accuracy, it seems to do a fairly respectable job, so comparing it with another small thermostat, and finally with the one that's mounted into the central, AC of the house, it actually seems to match more or less. It might be slightly like 0.5 degrees Celsius off, but it's not a huge deal, and for the most part it actually gets a fairly accurate reading. Of course, I would like to see the implementation of a few more features in this, such as maybe adding a clock, using this as an alarm, for instance, just adding a few other functions like a stopwatch. That would be really helpful, because as it is, you can't really interact with it. You just put in the battery, it will tell you the temperature as well as the humidity level, and that's about it, because it has all the hardware, a very cool e-ink screen that really isn't too small either, that if they added a few more features, it would have been really cool to interact with it even more. So that's been our hands-on review of this e-ink based thermostat. Really the interesting thing here is going to be the display, really long battery life, and actually a very simple, elegant design, although it doesn't do quite as much as I would have hoped. However, the design is indeed very elegant. The e-ink screen offers really nice contrast, and as a whole, it's a beautiful product as usual from Xiaomi. So thanks for watching this video here at OS Reviews. This has been our hands-on